to Untitled Label, where we strive for greatness through optimization. I'm John. I'm a field service engineer as well as an entrepreneur. And on this channel, we talk about all things relating to being a field service engineer. So I've restarted these videos as I've recently went back to work as a field service engineer. This has been my first week, and I wanted to reflect on how this week went, my decision to go back to being a field service engineer, and whether or not I feel like I made the right choice. Will I be able to juggle everything that's going to be happening with my life going forward? And just sharing a little bit more about what it takes to be a field service engineer and what the job entails. To help this video stay organized, I'm going to kind of reflect on a few points. I jotted these points down, and they're going to be primarily focused on the time consumption of the job, my personal interest in the equipment, financial benefits, and job stability and company reputation. And I threw a little bonus in there as well, and that's going to be work environment and culture. So in my last video, I touched a little bit on these topics because these are things I was looking for and taking into consideration when it went back to being a field service engineer. And I'll actually start off with the time aspect. To me, that was the most important factor. And this kind of ties in as far as salary, which we're going to touch base on later. So as someone that has his own business on the side as well and still wants to see that business thrive just based on what I've built so far, I needed to take into account my working hours. Now, as a field service engineer, you're going to have ability to schedule your own calls, but at the same time, you have to take into account the customer. The customer is going to be number one, and you're essentially making your schedule around the customer's availability. So typical working hours are going to probably be sometime during the day, but you're able to shift things if you're able to. So depending on whether you're a morning person or afternoon person, that can really impact your ability to schedule and complete your maintenance. For my job, for the position that I've taken, it seems like it's going to kind of vary because of my working environment. A lot of the places that I need to be able to get into, those spaces are used. They want to keep those spaces manned and their equipment running. So it makes getting in to get the maintenance done, it makes that a little bit challenging. The goal obviously is to still complete as much maintenance and as much work as you can on time, but there are ways to kind of get into places if you're not able to do it during the day. So on this first week, I was out in the field, hitting the ground running essentially, and I was doing a couple shadows. Now, what does that mean as far as running eclectique? So my main priority, since I am getting paid for this job I need to do right, is that job. So whatever time I've had in the afternoon or evenings, I've been able to go to the studio and still get packing done and orders fulfilled. So this whole week, that's kind of what I've been doing. I go do my work, shadow once I'm actually off for the day, knock out everything, stop by the studio. At the studio, I'm working on eclectique, which, by the way, this video is sponsored by my business, by my own brand, eclectique. So another important factor to consider is the travel requirements of the job. So this was also another factor that I had to take into account because I have a studio here in Houston. I have orders coming in that I need to ship out. So I can't be gone for too long or a long period of time because then my business is going to suffer. So I needed to have something that I could juggle and keep up with both. Now, my last job required me to fly to different places while still having work here in Houston. From what I've been able to observe so far, I have a lot of work here in Houston, especially if stuff breaks down or repairs to keep up with. So in a sense, it's going to keep me grounded for the most part in Houston, which is good. But at the same time, another factor to consider is traffic in the city, getting around places. I think we've experienced this week where we're at one site, something goes wrong, and then we have to go to another site. So the time aspect as far as local driving is probably going to be a little bit higher, but at the same time, I'm back home at the end of the day essentially. So if I want to lose a couple hours of sleep to make sure my business is still going, that's something that I have to make a sacrifice for. So our second topic was going to focus on my interest in the equipment. So these robots are super cool. The technology aspect is amazing. I think this is definitely something that's going to keep any field service engineer engaged. And the technical difficulty, there is some technical difficulty, but the way they have their manuals, they're pretty self-explanatory. So just kind of glancing over some of the work that I've actually done in the field this week. It seems like if you're able to just read, like I mentioned in my last video, read and follow directions, you're going to be successful. And that's one of the things that it takes to be a good field service engineer. You have to be able to follow these technical manuals and do what it's telling you to do correctly. Staying focused is important, and just taking your time to make sure things are done correctly. Now, if you're someone like me that's doing a whole lot of things, because I mean, at the end of the day, I keep mentioning this, my main focus, my main reason for doing multiple things at once rather than just working one job is for financial independence at an earlier age. So that means juggling my time with various things. Having something that you're working on, you're passionate about, it's going to make that job feel a lot less like a job. One thing that I'm going to say is a little bit different and I think might be easier in a sense is how in depth you're going with your troubleshooting. So some of us may be used to going super in depth. For example, in the military, in the Navy, that's the branch that I was in, we had 2M techs. So 2M techs were going down to circuit cards. So, but to get to that circuit card, you need to figure out which board is bad, etc. But as a field service engineer, certain companies may not necessarily want you to go inside of a piece of equipment. What I mean is, like my last company, if there was a bad monitor, I would go inside of that monitor, try to troubleshoot whether it's a fan, a circuit card, a memory card. I would go pretty component specific troubleshooting. Versus in this new job, if a part is bad, and by part I mean a kind of a big significant piece of the equipment is bad, you just replace that whole like assembly. So in that sense, it's a lot. I think it's going to be a lot easier to kind of troubleshoot and replace parts, but I'm not sure yet. This is still week one. I still have ways to go. Like I remember working for Milton Biotech where we had to replace, for example, a chamber drive assembly. I use that one because that's probably the most complicated and most tedious thing that I personally had to do, as far as I can remember at that job when dealing with that piece of equipment. So something like that requires you to disconnect and take apart a lot of things. In this new job, I don't think you're going to be going that in depth as far as removing and taking apart such a major piece of equipment, and then you're expected to put it back together correctly to work. But if you're able to do something like that successfully, I think that in itself says how good of an engineer you are. So if you're worried about, going to another company or whatever it may be, troubleshooting, if you have that technical skill set, some of these companies are only going to expect you to remove smaller, less intricate components. So in a sense, it might be an easier job than what you're already doing. I just mentioned that I'm going to be going to training soon. So continuous training is going to be important. There's going to be new equipment coming out. There's going to be certain revisions coming out, different types of equipment as you get more proficient that you're going to have to go through training. So as a field service engineer, you're always kind of expected to learn on the job, but you're also going to have trainings to go to that you're going to be expected to complete. I feel like at this new company that I'm working for, there are a lot of different types of training. From what I've heard, there's a lot of new technology coming out as well. So that's something that's going to be part of my personal timeline. As I'm going through it, of course, I'll be sharing that with you guys. Now, as a field service engineer, you're expected to use your hands to be able to take things apart. That's what you're essentially doing. That's the main goal of the job. Being able to, again, read those technical manuals and apply them to whatever equipment you're working on. One thing that I think is pretty cool that I've been able to have the opportunity to do this week is shadow other field service engineers for the company that I'm working for. So these guys have been able to let me watch them do the maintenance, see what it entails, ask questions, And this is gonna be super helpful for when I'm getting ready to go to training. So I already have a little bit of a better understanding of what's gonna be happening, what the equipment is, and hopefully things should flow a little bit easier for me in training. This is kind of like for my Navy vets, if you guys were in depth, getting ready to go to boot camp. You guys were, prepping, you're learning your Sailor's Creed, you're learning all these different things about the military, the Navy, or whatever. And once you're actually there, you're putting those things in action, and it's so much easier. At least it should be for you. Now, number three is going to be the financial benefits of this job. Um, I am not going to go. Simple answer is yes. This was a super great decision. The opportunities that I'm going to have as far as being able to save and build wealth at the end of the day, early retirement is the name of the game. I think there are going to be great opportunities with this company. So one of the things I mentioned on my last video was part of the reason why I'm going back to work is so I have enough money to support myself and keep my business running as well. So I think this is going to be a great way for me to build back my piggy bank, essentially, and still be on track to retire early and get all those nice things I want in life. Now, I'm not gonna beat the dead horse, but if you're new to this industry and you're not sure what to do, this is your first FSC job. These are some things to consider whenever you're looking at these jobs. You're getting ready to accept an offer. So, one, you're gonna be overall be familiar with what the salary is for your area. Go on Google. They have websites like Indeed, all these different types of websites that are going to list the job that you're interested in. Even some of them go super specific from other people that have left reviews. So see what the ballpark range is and make sure whatever offer you're getting is within that ball range. Part of that compensation package, you're either going to have a 401k match, I have RSUs, and an employee stock purchase plan. So these are good things that are going to come with the job that you can use again to build wealth and hopefully be able to retire whenever you want to retire. There's also going to be bonuses, and you might want to also look into health insurance benefits as well. So one of the things with this job is they have an HSA plan, but they don't necessarily have a match with HSA plan. One of the reasons why I like the HSA plan with my last company was because they did a match. So that was another way to essentially put money away, and that money was getting invested on top of that too. So it was just money growing, a pile of separate money, just growing up tax-free as well. Another factor that ties into pay is going to be your per diems. So are you going to have a company vehicle, or are they going to just pay you the money for using your own personal vehicle? So this is something that's new for me, as I previously was using my own personal vehicle, but now I have a company vehicle. Now, along with that comes different rules, different kind of stipulations that you have to meet for your employer. So make sure you're familiar with those things. That way you're not kind of abusing or ruining the rules. Because at the end of the day, it only takes one person to mess things up, and that nice thing that you had is poof, gone. The last thing I'm going to tie in with this little bullet point is career growth and opportunity. This is something that I've kind of taken into account because I don't want to be stagnant if I'm going to be working for someone else. I have my own business that I'm growing, I'm actively growing and turning into something that's going to probably earn me financial freedom. At the same time, I understand having to work for someone. I know what it takes, I know what the rules are, etc. So I don't want to be stuck in that same position doing the same thing for 5, 10 years, whatever it is. I'm just using this as an example. My point is, you have people that are motivated, they want to climb the corporate ladder. They have the aptitude to be able to complete these things in a shorter amount of time. They just need to be put in that position and show their skill set. That's it. So in that sense, I feel like this new company has that. They have that opportunity. I've seen people that I've actually worked with be able to I don't want to say climb, but they've been able to move through that that ladder. My next topic is going to be job stability and company reputation. So part of the process of you getting this job is you were supposed to look up this company, do a little bit of background research, see what they're about, etc. Because you want to, one, work for a good company, but at the same time, you don't want to lose your job come a year from now. So that's something that you need to do a little bit of research. After this first week, the guys and girls I work with are awesome. They're going to be a good crew to work with, and kind of excited. Looking forward, I know it's going to be a lot of hard work, not only just from being a field service engineer, but putting my business on top of that as well, and just being able to keep both running continuously and well. So it's going to be a challenge, a new challenge, a tough challenge, but I think we're going to do it. So that brings us to the conclusion of my reflection of week one of coming back to being a field service engineer. I'm going to try to do these videos at least once a week. So if you're enjoying these, make sure you subscribe and give me a thumbs up as well. And it really helps the channel grow if you share this. This is one way that the algorithm, essentially YouTube algorithm, helps other people that may be interested in this type of topic, these types of videos, helps them find these types of videos. So do me a favor and share this with someone that might enjoy this as well. So with that said, I'll catch you on the next one.